Welcome to the Paint, Rest, Repeat podcast with Ros Gervais and
Laura Day, where we chat about our creative lives as artists while keeping it real and a little bit messy.
We're here to inspire creatives just like you to push past those boundaries and make art that you love. Let's dive in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 89 of Paint, Rest, Repeat. Today, we are chatting about the fear of visibility. And this is for artists who might feel like perhaps they're a little bit introverted, a little bit new to sharing their art online or in person. So, yeah, excited about this one, Laura.
Yeah, I think lots of artists, especially when they're starting out in this whole world of creative entrepreneurship, it can feel a little bit frightening or scary. It's you're probably doing things that you've never done in your life before, and you're putting yourself out there in ways that you wouldn't even imagine yourself doing years back. So, yeah, it is a hot topic. I think most creative people would be experiencing this fear of visibility or this sort of uncomfortable feeling with putting themselves and their artwork out there. Because that's two different things in itself, like showing yourself as an artist and then also showing your work. So yeah, we're going to talk about both of those things today and why it's important as well. Did you want to share maybe why people are wanting to be visible?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, just firstly, I think what we're talking about by visibility, did you just explain that, Laura? I was listening, I promise.
So I sort of covered over who, like you as an artist, like, and then also like your work. So that's what we'll talk about today.
Okay, and sharing that online and in person, and it's almost like popping up your hand saying I'm an artist and this is my art, and that can feel really scary for a lot of people. But we're talking about this piece today because visibility, by being visible and showing people your work, and your for some of you, your new identity as an artist. That's going to help you to build your name and also to sell your work, because I know that most of our listeners, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now,
did you touch on like sharing this journey, like so stepping into this whole world of being an artist and how it can be challenging for some people, like saying I'm an artist? Sharing with friends and family can sometimes be the hardest. And that can be like that thing within the back of your mind, like thinking like, oh, I've got this new identity as an artist. Like I'm coming out as an artist in this world. And my friends and family don't really know me as being this person. So then that can like sort of play in your mind when you're sharing online as well, like who's seeing this, who's going to be looking at it. Are they going to think like this, that, or whatever about you?
Definitely. I mean, what do they call it? It's a bit of a flex as well. Is that the expression? Like if you know you have people in your world who would be negatively judging you and you keep on sharing, it's sort of like it's who I am. You can go, you can stay over there and you can deal.
Yeah, because we are on this journey of becoming, and like you are a new person. Like you think of yourself like 10, 15 years ago, like you are a different person. And most of the people that listen to this podcast, they are on this evolution as like a person, an artist, an entrepreneur, or like, they're on this journey. So they are changing. So people from your past probably have a concept of you, and you're constantly changing and becoming a different person. So yeah, it can be like bring up some interesting feelings, and it can make you feel a bit vulnerable in a way if you're showing a new version of yourself, especially online as well.
Yeah, and so Laura and I, we were having a chat prior to recording about this, and where our journeys as well initially with sharing our work and sharing our identities and all of that. And yeah, a lot of we sort of uncovered a few interesting things about how we both got through it. I think, for me, a really big, I'm sort of skipping through the notes here, Laura, sorry, going straight to mindset shifts. We might have to go back.
We might need to.
I feel like this flow of conversation works better. So one really big one for me early on was actually separating my art from myself. And that was actually because I read super early on The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And she talks about the artist not as the creator of the work, but instead as a channel for the work coming from some sort of a higher power, however you want to define that. And that was actually really helpful for me, because I was like, this is the art that is just coming off my brush, and so sharing it didn't feel like it was all about me. I was just sharing work that I was, that came off my brush, essentially. So that was a really helpful one for me. Then you have another reframe that you wanted to recommend.
I mean, The Artist's Way was really helpful for me too. And that concept, I agree, like just separating it in a way and you're the channel. But then also thinking about your art as a gift or a service to the world. So it is, it's about like externalizing that and thinking, especially with around the topic of like selling your work and putting a price on it as well. Like it is something that you're bringing light and positivity and joy into people's lives. So, my art is a gift, or, the coaching and things that I do is a gift. Like it's a service, like it's something that's contributing positively to the world. And so if you can sort of have those tweaks within your mind rather than like, oh, I'm doing this thing and I think I'm so good, or like people are going to look at me and just be like, oh, like what do they think they are doing?
And that that actually connects perfectly to what we skipped before, which was talking about that whole sort of tall poppy syndrome, and that concept, because I think it's called a syndrome, tall poppy. We were talking about this before, phenomenon. And this, when you're sharing your work and your identity as an artist, I think it can trigger in our minds this little whisper of like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to call yourself an artist and to go, creating colorful, beautiful things and sharing them online? Who do you think you are? And I think perhaps it's a quintessential, or big words are coming out, Australian thing, the tall poppy syndrome. Because I don't know, I think culturally we just love to cut people down. Like, do not stand out, do not be different, do not chase your dreams. You must conform and fit the standard model of society. Anyway, sorry, I'm going a bit deep with this, but
no, that's great.
I think this is where it sort of comes from for a lot of us, is that fear of standing out, because what's going to happen after that? What's the reaction going to be to me popping up and saying, I'm an artist, this is my work, this is what I do.
So for the introverted people there, it is easier to hide in the shadows and say, I'm shy, I'm not going to put myself out there. But like, if you do have this dream to make a successful career out of being an artist, you do have to push those boundaries. You do have to show your work. And then on that note around feeling vulnerable and, showing your ambition to step into this like successful artist or this artist in the world, allowing yourself to be a learner and be in that like learning phase. And, you can show your process and, just showing your growth. Like, I think that's amazing. Like, you don't have to have a fully perfected, unique style and like this signature thing that you're known for. People love seeing the behind the scenes. They love seeing the process. And I think that goes a long way with building a story and taking people along the ride with your journey and creating that connection piece with you. What would you say, Roz?
Yeah, definitely. I've got a bit of background noise here, so sorry if anything's coming through. But as you're talking about that, even sharing that process, that's inspiring other people. It's great inspiration for other people to chase their own dreams and their own ambitions. It might not be art, but to actually say yes to the thing that they actually really want to do and that their heart is calling. So even sharing your progress like that in itself is a service to society. So,
Yeah,
you know,
for
there
sure.
are ways to look at this that are truthful, but also will help you to share your work.
So on the fear of judgment piece as well, like when you are putting yourself out there, we're sort of talking about like where it comes from. And Ros, you before we were putting these notes together, you're talking about the fear of being cast out and like, you know, cast out from the clan as well.
Yeah, that's a bit of you go deep into psychology and our background as well as humans, and that is definitely a really big piece of things. So I think, you know, even in planning our topics over the next couple of weeks, you know, a lot of them underlying a lot of this is a fear of judgment and a fear of basically being, you know, kicked out of the clan, and so it feels dangerous and it feels
Yeah.
unsafe to
Mhm.
be that tall poppy.
Yeah.
So that fear is real, as in it's a real experience to have that thought in your mind, but it's not actually dangerous, right? If we really look at the facts, it's not actually dangerous to share a picture of your art on
Yeah.
social media. So we
Yeah.
have to almost like logic it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
battle our own thinking on that,
Mhm.
so that we can, you know, work towards what we're trying to work towards with our
Yeah.
art.
And that goes perfectly onto the mindset shifts that we had for you as well around thinking about that worst case scenario. And like, you know, it's probably not as bad as you imagine. Like, you know, the fears are coming up and it's valid and it's coming from like, sort of like, you know, that your past and maybe what you've experienced. On a psychological level. But then, yeah, if you logic it, like Roz said, like in reality, like what is the worst case scenario?
Well, see, I think I've been making my art or sharing my art for 5 years now. I actually don't know, and I really should check, Laura. But I have not ever, literally ever, received a negative comment about my art online or in
Same.
person,
Yeah,
ever.
same.
Full stop.
Same.
So,
Yeah.
like, we catastrophize. We go straight to the worst
Mhm.
possible, which is normal as well. So, if
Mhm.
anyone's out there is like, that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, I
Totally
do it.
normal.
I do it too. But it's we go straight to that worst thing. So I think it is worth looking at, actually thinking through what is the worst case scenario, and
Mhm.
go straight to that catastrophized version, and then look into that, and look at, does that even matter? So if you do get those negative comments and your grandma your grandma says to you, oh darling, aren't you so cute with your paintbrush, you know,
Yeah.
something like that, does that really matter? You know, she still loves you, and she's just not used to seeing you in that context, and she's adjusting, her mind is adjusting to who you are now, you know.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, if we logic it,
Mhm.
we'll get through.
And if you do get a like really, really bad comment as well, that's like nasty, yeah, that's coming from a person and you know, they've probably got like a pretty shitty life, let's be honest. And yeah, it's just a sign of like their personal qualities in themselves, rather than your own. So it's not about you, it's about them,
Is
really.
this where we drop in the cliches, like you only live once, that thing, and you do you, boo? Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. You stay in your lane,
Yeah,
do your thing,
yeah.
like
Blinkers
try
on.
like yeah, water off a duck's back, like those sorts of things. Like you have to build that resilience in
Yeah,
a way. But as we said, like Roz and I have been in this game for a while now, and we've both never had a negative comment about our art. And
yeah.
if it does come up eventually, like, you know, as our business grows and expands, like it's probably more reflection on them and whatever that's going on in their lives. And it's not about us and about our art and our creative ability in the end.
Amazing. All right. So, some practical ways that our listeners can share their work if they're feeling a little bit nervous around the visibility piece, maybe a bit introverted. We have a few tips for you. Do you want to dive in first, Laura?
Yeah, sure. Sort of said around sharing the behind the scenes glimpses of your work. So it could just be a palette on the table and some paints mixed up. It just could be like part of your process, like drawing something or yeah, just like different things like, you know, sharing your inspirations or all those sorts of things.
Yeah, and I'm just typing here on our notes as well.
Mhm.
You typed posting a time lapse of part of your process. And I've added in part of your process, because we can almost put that pressure on ourselves, like we have to have a perfect process. And so that's what we have to show. Just show a part of it, just a little snippet of your process of making your art.
Yeah.
What else do we have there, Laura?
Yeah, I sort of touched on it, like, so sharing what inspires you. So, like, what is the inspiration for your work? Is it going for walks in nature, or is it like, I don't know,
Laura.
people, or
Is
the
it
ocean, or
Is it
like,
Laura? Imagine someone out there that all they do is paint portraits of you, Laura. That would be a bit creepy, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to meet that person. If someone's painting me in secret.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've spooked myself
I
out.
know. This
All
is
right.
supposed to be a 10-minute episode.
Oh, stop talking, everybody.
Another tip is share stories rather than selling. So, like, yeah, sharing stories behind your art, sharing the meaning behind your process, maybe new discoveries, maybe sharing like a book that's inspired you or a podcast that's inspired you. Yeah, just things like that.
Or a fluorescent magenta paint from Golden that inspired you.
Mm-hmm.
It can just be something simple as well as that. I've started with this paint color and it has created this, like that was my starting point for my particular piece. Yeah, what else do we have? Showing your hands instead of your face. So if you are with the visibility piece nervous about speaking to camera or showing your face even, we do recommend it. Well, I do recommend it, but you can start with just showing your hands instead. That's still quite personal. And then also doing a voiceover over certain videos if you can, which shares your voice. Again, it's also a really nice personal touch and people can get to know you through your voice.
Yeah. So small steps, and you can slowly like just grow on that and grow your confidence that way.
Definitely. Now, I have an event coming up, and we are recording this episode a little bit in the past, so I can't tell you specifically what is coming up, but I'm excited about it. It's gonna be good. I have lots of ideas, but I'm not just fully committed. But we're going to kick off around the 19th of May. And if you'd like to know the details, go and head to my Instagram account to check out some of my latest posts and to see what I'm up to, or send me a DM on Insta and I'll let you know what the event is going to be.
Knowing you and your past events, it's going to be great.
Oh,
so go check it out.
Thank you.
And I've got my retreat waitlist. So if you want to hear about any of the details when I'm launching tickets or whatever's happening in regards to my retreat, definitely jump onto that waitlist and you will be the first to know.
Fabulous. And I have one review today as well. This is by an artist who is in my world, Alison Johnson. She's on Blue Thumb, by the way. Go and check her out. Her Instagram has actually changed from what I have noted here, and I can't remember her Instagram straight up. Would you mind? I'll try to look it up while I'm talking. She has said, another great episode, Ros and Laura. Lots to think about now. You always have something inspiring to share. Isn't that nice?
Thank you. Yeah, that's super nice.
Now, I am going to look up her account, though, because I want to give her a bit of a shout out because she's left us a review. Let's double check. So she is on Instagram at artbyallie, ALLIE.artist.
Lovely.
Yay. Now, if you would like to have your review read out here on Paint Rest Repeat, remember to leave us a written review over on Apple Podcasts along with your Instagram handle. If you're listening on Spotify, just leave us a 5-star review for good karma. This really means a lot to us. It helps us to get our podcast out to even more artists and to help them on their journeys too. So yeah, big thanks from us to you for listening today, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.